Stop scrolling. Modern dating isn't broken. It's just not built for you to win. And if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, you're showing up, you're putting in the effort, you're trying to be just an all around good guy, but somehow it still doesn't work out, this is why. Because you're not playing the game wrong, you're playing the wrong game entirely. Now, at some point, every guy hits his phase. I know for me, I had hit this my early years of college, fresh out of high school. And it's when you meet someone, you're interested, and you begin to start investing your time, your energy, and your attention. And at first, everything feels solid. This is what we call the honeymoon phase. And then you get to around month 3 to 6, then it slowly begins to shift. The energy begins to shift. Your vibes are not vibing like they once were. The texts begin to get slower. Your effort drops, her effort drops, and you begin to start overthinking the relationship in its entirety. Is this going to work out? Why isn't she giving me the attention she once did? And you begin to wonder, what did I do wrong? Now, this really gets into where you begin to invest in relationships too early. For me, this happens. It is a common theme, right? You meet somebody new and you want to invest all your time, things are good, and you begin to start to overthink, hey, am I doing something wrong? And then you begin to constantly check your phone. And it's not about her changing, it was about me not understanding the situation I was in. Now, here's the first thing you need to understand. You're not competing with other men anymore. You're competing with access. And that's just the generation we're in. That's the time period we're in. We're not back in the 1980s where nobody had social media. We're competing with access. And this access is attention. It's validations. It's people having options. Like I mentioned before, social media has just changed the entire structure of the dating scene. Before, attraction was built in real life in smaller circles. This is meeting people in normal life, going outside of your house, not having an app, whether this is through high school, college, church, the grocery store, the coffee shop. And now it's turned into anyone can talk to anyone at any point in time, which means the average woman isn't dealing with 2 to 3 options. Now she's dealing with dozens, and that's on the smaller end. Thousands, hundreds. Again, I'm not blaming the time period we're in. I'm just facing reality. And if you don't adjust to reality, reality will humble you. We're in a system where attention is value. This is every notification, every DM, that's just reinforcing other females. And what do most guys do? They begin to start competing for this attention. And this might be trying to be the funniest or the most available and the most understanding and the most consistent. And this is just because it starts to feel logical. But in reality, it's the exact thing that lowers your value because now you're not a priority. You're just another source of attention. You're like every other guy. And there's situations where doing the most is important in a relationship. But you need to realize at the end of the day, people are going to enjoy for you who you are, right? And when you begin to attend to the needs of others, and whether this is being overly available, or you begin to text too much, or you double text or triple text, and it's this realizations that it doesn't increase attraction. The more I try to prove myself, the less I was actually respected. And this is where most men lose the game completely. Scarcity is invisible, but it shows up everywhere. And it sounds like, I hope this works out. I don't want to lose her. She's different. And that energy, it leaks into everything you do. You begin to overtext, overthink about every conversation. You begin to overcommit to events and have a ton of dates, or you just begin to ignore your own standards. And that's just because you're afraid to lose something you barely even built. And that's the trap. Because when you operate from scarcity, you give away all your leverage. There's been plenty of times where you begin to ignore the red flags, whether she has a guy best friend or she's texting other guys, and you just begin to accept this behavior you normally wouldn't because you're scared, right? That she's the only one I'm going to meet. And you begin to stay in these relationships longer than you should have. And it's not because you're choosing, it was just because you're trying not to lose. Now, here's the part that nobody wants to hear. The solution isn't learning the game. It's not better pickup lines, it's not better timing, and it's not some texting formula. The solution is becoming a man who naturally has options. Now, what does this mean? You're in shape, you take care of yourself, right? You're getting, whether this is a haircut, you go to the gym multiple times a week, you're disciplined in your craft, you show up to work, right? And you're taking care of yourself, you cook good food. And not only that, but you're building income and you have a direction, you have long-term goals. And when your life is full, you begin not to chase females because you don't need to. It's not going to fulfill your life. And this is where everything flips. It's when you're focused on your long-term goals, your short-term goals, your routine, your growth. Women stop being the center of your life and they begin to start becoming a part of it. And they'll see this from the outside. And that's a completely different position. You're not waiting on replies. You're not rearranging your life and you're not seeking validation. You're busy. You're moving. And that energy is truly rare right now. Anytime that I'm locked in, whether this is my gym, my work, my discipline, my mindset just changes. I'm not focused on females. Females notice this because that is rare, right? They are seeking validation, right? And if they're getting constant validation while you're focusing on your long-term goals, that's what they desire. That's when the interactions start feeling different. And when you stop chasing, everything gets easier. This is the final level. You stop asking, does she like me? And you start asking, is this even what I want? That's where the real power is. Because now you can walk away from the disrespect. You don't tolerate inconsistency. You don't get attached too early. You choose, and most men never get here. Modern dating isn't a losing game. It just is. For the version of you that's chasing validation, operating from scarcity, and putting women at the center of your life. But if you flip that, and if you build discipline, structure, and standards, you don't just do better in dating. You do better in life all around. Fix your life first, dating gets easier after. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.